All right, well, hello everybody out there. It is time for another lesson with Mr. Fry. And hopefully, as you can see on your screen, today we are talking about power and how you are powerful and what you can do with your power. Maybe what you should do with your power. Now, before we get started, we are going to take a minute to check in. Okay, so we've done this before in many classes, but if you haven't done it before or if you've forgotten about it, what this is, it's going to be a 1 minute check-in with yourself. Hopefully you're in a quiet place. I know we can't always be in a quiet place, but it helps for this. And it's just a minute for you to check in with your physical body. Okay, so how does your body feel? Scan your body from head to toe and see how you feel. Your emotional self. What are you feeling right now? Where are your feelings? How are you feeling? Scan your emotional self. And then third, your intellectual self. Are you ready to learn? Are you ready to fill your mind up with knowledge? Okay, so we're going to take 1 minute. We're just going to sit. We're going to think about those things and see if there's anything that you, your body, your emotions, your intellectual self, anything that you need that you can give yourself. Because a lot of times we can kind of do these small fixes just by thinking about it, focusing on it, and determining what it is that we need to take care of that. So we're going to have 1 minute timer, and then we'll come back and get our lesson started. Here we go. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed that minute for yourself and got some nice deep breaths in, and you're ready to learn. Let's get to it. Not that again. We're going to get to our lesson. Okay, now, we're going to start by talking about Spider-Man. Okay, so when we're talking about power, I really like this clip from Spider-Man. Okay, this comes from a Spider-Man movie. I don't know how old it is at this point, but listen carefully to what the old man is telling Spider-Man here.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
All right. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. So in Spider-Man, there's always a scene where Spider-Man's Uncle Ben, okay, the old guy was Uncle Ben, the young kid Spider-Man, when Uncle Ben says this to Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And our topic today is power, okay? Hopefully you know the word responsibility. Maybe you've got those 3 B's in your head. Be safe, be responsible, and be respectful. Responsibility is a word we're not going to focus on defining because I think you know what being responsible means, okay? So, why does Uncle Ben say that to Spider-Man, right? It happens, and if you've seen Spider-Man, I think it kind of is in every Spider-Man movie and the comic books and all that. But it happens when Spider-Man is becoming Spider-Man, okay? He's a teenager, gets bit by a spider, and he starts having all these crazy powers, okay, as superheroes do. And Spider-Man starts to realize just how powerful he is, okay? And in this conversation that they're having, Spider-Man is talking about, I don't know, he got into a fight with somebody, okay? And here's what Uncle Ben says about him getting into a fight with someone.
But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to.
Okay, one more time. Make sure we can hear that.
But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to.
Just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. So they're talking about this fight that he got into. And I like how Uncle Ben wants him to know that just because he can do something doesn't mean he should, okay? So we all have power, and we're going to talk about that. But Power is responsibility, and just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. So let's keep that in mind as we move in to our lesson. So first, what is power? Let's turn to the dictionary, and the dictionary tells us that power is the ability to do something or to act in a particular way. Okay, so to do something or to act in a particular way. Number two, it's the ability to direct or influence the behaviors of others. So think about that number one definition. All that means is that we have the ability to do something. We have the power to do what we want, okay? Number two, the ability to influence the behaviors of others. Can we convince someone else to do something? There's a lot of power in convincing others to do things and influencing them to do things. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the definitions of power. Number one, the ability to do something or act in a certain way. I want you to think. When you think of powerful people, who do you think of? All right, so I say think of the most powerful person you can think of. All right, I don't know who you're thinking of, but I hope you're thinking of people. If we were alive, you'd be telling me. But maybe you're thinking of someone like the president. Okay, the president is incredibly powerful. Maybe the most powerful person in our country, maybe not. Or maybe you're thinking of like a rich person, a very rich person, the world's richest person, who is this guy, Jeff Bezos, the guy that started Amazon, currently the world's richest person. That can kind of change by the day. But maybe there's a lot of power in lots of money. There definitely is. Maybe you're thinking of someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, someone who not only has obviously a lot of physical power, but who's a famous movie star. And I think he's actually the highest paid movie star right now in the country. So there's a lot of power in being famous and strong and rich again. Or maybe you're thinking of someone like your parents or the people who take care of you. Maybe they have a lot of power over you. They tell you what you can and can't do. They tell you what you can and can't eat. They tell you what time to go to bed. Okay? Maybe they're really powerful. But what about you? Do you think of yourself as powerful? Okay? And we're thinking of power here just in a general sense, not like the most powerful person in the world, but do you feel like you have power? Do you feel like you have the power to do, what you want within reason, right? We all have things that we can't do for various reasons, but I hope you think of yourself as having some power. All right, part two of the definition is the ability to direct or influence other people. So to influence other people, to get them to do what you want, to get them to wear or say or think however you want. All right. So I want you to think. Who do you think influences your behavior? Okay. Now this word influence, the last few years we have seen this word influencers become a huge word. Okay. The influencers of the world are the people who are on YouTube, on TikTok and Instagram and social media sites, trying to basically become famous so that they can make money by people who pay them to advertise their products. So whatever they do to become famous, I don't know, makeup or video games or, funny videos, ultimately they're making money by getting you to buy things. All right, so think about that when you watch those YouTube videos and there's those short ads there. That's what it's all about. But nonetheless, they are called influencers because they are influencing you to do things. Do they have power over you? Maybe, maybe not. All right. So here's another way that power works with influencing, and that is commercials. Commercials, we all know them, right? So let's see if we can figure out this commercial, about 10 seconds of this commercial here.
Let's get one thing straight. I never tell you to drink Sprite, even if I was in a commercial for Sprite, which I am, or you were watching it, which you are. I wouldn't tell you to drink it, no matter what that cue card says.
Bron, man, say it.
No.
Okay, well, I think it's quite clear what that commercial is for. Now, here's the question that the people who created the commercial are asking themselves, and they're paying a lot of money to hopefully find that answer. And that is LeBron James powerful enough to convince you to purchase and drink Sprite? Are you going to go home now and say, oh, I want Sprite, and convince your parents to buy you some, or go to the store yourself and buy some? I don't know, maybe not. This commercial hopes that LeBron James is powerful enough to convince you to buy Sprite. So whenever you see commercials, think about the power that that person is trying to have over you. Okay, every commercial you ever see is about someone trying to sell you something And that's powerful. They want you to change your mind about something, and they're using their power to do so. So maybe that commercial didn't work for you. Okay, maybe it did. And maybe some of these people who are apparently, and not that I know who they are, apparently famous, powerful people on the internet, mostly on YouTube, or maybe on Twitch, video game streaming sites, people who make a lot of money by trying to sell you things again. So these are people who have power because they can convince you to buy things, convince you to wear things, convince you to do things, maybe play a new game that you wouldn't have otherwise thought of, buy a Happy Meal or something that you otherwise wouldn't have. So that is where the second definition of power comes in, the ability to influence others. Let's move away from famous people, okay? Forget about celebrities. In your daily life, who influences you, okay? Is it a parent? Is it a friend? Is it a brother, a sister, a sibling, a cousin? Is it a teacher or a coach? Who do you look to when you're figuring out how to act and what to do? Maybe we call these people role models, okay? Role models have a lot of power over us, and they could be a friend, they could be a parent, they could be a coach, they could be anybody that you look up to and you think, I kind of want to be like them, or I want to wear that, or I want to kind of say the things that they say the way they say because I like how they talk, or I like the things that they do. Those are people who have power over you. And having power over someone isn't a bad thing, okay? I don't want you to think it's bad. A lot of times we talk about it as if it were a bad thing. But I want you to think of this, especially when it comes to you and having power, as how can you use power for good, right? To positively influence people. So let's think about it this way. We all have power. And it's true that adults usually have more power than children, but even adults, such as myself, don't have all the power. We all have bosses. Everybody has a boss, okay? We all have laws that we have to follow. And then we're powerless to things like weather and illness. And if you remember going back a couple lessons with me, we talked about illnesses, we talked about weather, we talked about natural disasters, things that, are they fair, are they not fair? We don't have any power over them, right? We've been having a lot of snow and cold weather. We don't have any power over that. Knocks out power in our homes. We don't have school because of it. Maybe not anything we can do about that, okay? And it comes back into play with bosses at work, with laws that we have to follow, whether we're kids or adults, okay? So I want you to think now about where is your power, okay? So let's go back to SpiderMan and Uncle Ben for a second. Uncle Ben says, with power comes responsibility. If you have power, you also have the responsibility to use that power wisely, okay? And just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. So let's say you're probably sitting there saying, I don't have any power, Mr. Fry. I'm 10 years old. What kind of power do I have? Well, let's think about it this way. In your life, in and out of school, you have other people around you who are looking at you to figure out what they should do, okay? Maybe it's a younger sibling, cousin, niece, nephew, someone you babysit, somebody to help take care of, someone younger in the house, okay? Or maybe your age or older, I don't know. Or maybe at school, it's a kindergartner, it's a first grader. And in the hallways, you see them looking at you. Or you hear your teachers or the principal saying, the younger kids in school are looking at you to learn what to do, to learn how to behave, to learn how to move in the halls, to learn how to act at recess, to learn how to, what's the procedure for going into the bathroom, all right? The younger kids are looking up to you to do that. You have a lot of power there. You can show them the right way. Maybe you can show them the wrong way, okay? You may not even be aware that they are watching you, but they are. Okay, and this is where you have so much power. This is just one area. Maybe you have power in a lot of other areas, but you have the power to show others the right thing. What should we be doing? And you have that power, whether it's in your home or at school. Remember that. You have that power. And we all have the power, as I've been saying, to do the right thing. Okay? Power is about choices and decisions. We can't choose to do anything we want. Just as much as SpiderMan, can maybe choose to hurt somebody, but should he? Just because he can, does that mean he should? All right? Think about Uncle Ben again, saying with power comes responsibility. We talk about these things, responsibility, safety, and respect, right? And those things are our 3 B's.
Something called the 3 B's. Everybody say 3 B's. 3 B's. Three B's. Be safe, be respectful, and be responsible.
There is so much power in utilizing those three B's, right? We talk about them a lot. We refer to them all the time. But those three B's, being responsible, being safe, and being respectful, you can make a very powerful choice to do those things. And think about being a role model in the school or out of the school, right? If you are responsible, respectful, and safe, other students, especially the younger ones, will learn that they can trust you and look up to you. You'll have more friends. You'll have better relationships with your teachers, with the adults in the building, right? Very positive thing to do, and that is to use your power in a positive way. Now, this is our final slide. So here we go. This is the big ending, right? So let's think about using our power wisely. And I hope you're still not sitting there thinking, I don't have any power, because I've been trying to convince you that you do, okay? None of us may be as powerful as Spider-Man, who is a fictional superhero, right? But we can still remember the lessons that he learned. And that is that we are responsible for our power. And just because we can do something doesn't mean we should, all right? It's thinking about our actions, thinking about how to use our power. I've done a lot of lessons so far this year, all right? And there is power in having empathy. We've talked about empathy. There's power in forgiving, right? There's so much power in admitting we are wrong and saying I'm sorry. There's power in fairness and trying to make sure you're fair, right? And practicing gratitude, being thankful for what you have. And to respecting others, all right? Those are all areas that we can have a whole lot of power in. And we've talked about all these things so far this year. So if you can practice empathy, which means thinking about the feelings and emotions of others, if you can forgive other people when they hurt you, if you can admit that you were wrong when you hurt other people, if you can try to be fair, right? Not everyone getting the same thing, but everyone getting what they need. If you can try to be grateful for what you have. And if you can respect other people, even when you disagree, even when you think they're wrong, if you can say, well, I respect your right to think that way, even though I disagree. There is so much power that we can bring to our relationships with other people when we remember all those things, okay? And it can be very hard to do this. I mean, think about Spider-Man. He got into a fight with the kid because he could, because he had all the power. And Uncle Ben says, just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. Think about that. You have all this power. You need to figure out how to use it. So I want each of us, each of you, to think about all the power that you have, okay, and how to use it to do the right thing. And it can be hard to do the right thing, but that's what makes it powerful and right. If it were easy, we would just all do it, right? Think about that again, all right, as we leave here. When you have power, okay, it can be hard to make sure that you're using power to do the right thing. Make sure to think about that, and it's not always easy. In fact, it's going to be hard a lot of the times. So when you use your power to do the right thing, it's not easy, but just do it. The more you do it, the easier it gets, like so many of these things, okay? So use your power wisely. You've got it. Make sure to use it. That's me. We're signing off for another lesson with Mr. Fry. And I can't wait to see you either back in the building, in your class, virtually. Who knows where we'll be, but I'll see you sometime soon. Bye for now, guys.